Ms. Hyde, you were asked questions by Mr. Brennan just moments ago about Celebrite and release notes. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
And did Celebrite, beyond stating that their opinion was the 2:20:40 a.m. timestamp was not reliable, did they give any reason at all for why they concluded it was not reliable in that? I'm sorry, we'll wait for the...
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'll repeat the question for you.
Thank you.
May I, Your Honor? Thank you. In that release note, does Celebrite state any reason for why they wrote not a reliable timestamp?
There are other
I'm sorry, my
but
question
not
is, did they
Celebrite?
state in the release note whether there's a reason for why they concluded?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
Please try not to talk.
I will,
Sorry, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Two.
Not asking you to read it, just asking whether or not they give any reason for the conclusion not a reliable timestamp.
One moment, I'd like to review what they wrote. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
You're welcome.
Yes, they do. They state that further research since is the reason that they're doing it, that there's further research.
Did they state what that research is?
They don't, but
All right, but they don't state what the further research is.
that is correct. They
All right,
state
now
that
what I'd like
it's
to do
unreliable.
is move on to Axiom.
Mm-hmm.
You were asked questions by Attorney Brennan, and you referred to Axiom as using a different parlance of with the timestamp of carved, correct?
Celebrite uses this deleted demarcation or recovered demarcation. Axiom does not do that at all. They speak to how they recovered the artifact, be it that it was parsed. When I say parsed, I mean the item was where it was expected to be in the algorithm, found it, located it, and said it's here, versus carved, which is when they have to go into an unexpected area, such as slack space, which would be the areas that are not yet used or were previously used to extract the data from that.
So Axiom actually recovers the timestamp, but Celebrite does not. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
currently, previously, when we did the first case.
Right, but currently,
It's the opposite.
Celebrite
Correct.
doesn't, but Axiom does. Axiom recovers 2:27:40 a.m., correct? Timestamp? They
That
recover.
is the timestamp that they show for that artifact. Correct.
Exactly. So now I'd like to go back to the next topic, our discussion about Mr. O'Keefe's phone and secured or not. You talked about one example of maybe needing to use a biometric to unlock a phone, and that might be a reason, as I understand it, as to why someone might not put it in a Faraday bag or box. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay, do you know whether the passcode was immediately provided on the phone of Mr. O'Keefe?
I do not have that information.
Assume that the passcode was immediately provided for the phone of Mr. O'Keefe. Can you think of any other reason why that phone wouldn't be put in airplane mode, Faraday bag, or Faraday box?
Best practice would be to put it in a Faraday bag.
Okay. And that phone was obviously not put in airplane mode, Faraday box, or Faraday bag after 6:04 a.m. on January 29, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go to,
Well, I don't know if at some point past 12 o'clock, My report only goes to noon, so just for clarity, I don't know
Fair enough.
anything past noon.
Fair enough, but from 6:04 a.m. until approximately noon on
Correct.
January 29, 2022, at least that time, that phone is not in airplane mode in a Faraday bag or a Faraday box, correct?
It would appear such. Because I didn't analyze past that, I don't know if it had been potentially Faradayed and then it broke Faraday and got data, but I don't suspect that based on this. It appears that that data was live. But I just have to speak to the fact that I just don't know because I didn't go past noon.
Right, but you're going past noon.
Right.
I'm not.
Okay.
My
yeah.
question,
6 a.m. to noon, it does not appear to be Faraday.
So to be clear, from 6:04 a.m. on January 29, 2022, until at least noon of January 29, 2022, the iPhone of Mr. O'Keefe is not in airplane mode, it's not in a Faraday bag, and it's not a Faraday box, correct?
Unless it was in a broken Faraday bag, like they put it and it was failing. But yeah, it does not appear to have been placed in Faraday bag.
All right.
No, I'm just being honest. You should test your Faraday bags. They go bad. I use Dr. Katz's testing methodology, but 100% it appears to have been receiving signal for that entire period and not in a Faraday bag, which would be best practice unless biometrics were needed.
So let's now go to hopefully what are the last two categories of questions. With regard to the iPhone of Jen McCabe, do you have any knowledge as to whether over 200 calls were auto-deleted on her phone? You analyzed it.
We can see that calls were auto-deleted. You're asking me if the number of, I just want to make sure I understand the question. If the number of calls that were auto-deleted, if that exceeded 200?
My question is, do you know whether there was auto-deletions on Jen McCabe's phone? Do you know that?
I'm uncomfortable with the term auto-deletions because I don't know what that is inferring.
Okay. Did you analyze her phone at all for deletions?
I analyzed her phone to see if there had been deletions of call logs, and what I found was that there were records that were removed by the system and not recoverable from that database, but were recoverable from biomes.
Understood. Now what I'd like to do is to address your answer in response to Mr. Brennan's questions, where you said that the issue with regard to Mr. O'Keefe, or just generally your proposition, that there was no impact on your conclusion because more data had been obtained. Did I get that correct?
I believe my statement was there was no impact on my conclusion with the fact that it had not been in a Faraday.
Right. So isn't it, though, the case that when a phone's not in a Faraday and is therefore active, data can be overwritten?
Yes.
So if data can be overwritten when it's not in a Faraday, you can lose that data, correct?
Is there data that we're concerned? Yes, theoretically.
Right.
Yes.
You talked about, in response to Attorney Brennan, the 12/31/56 steps, and you said the last, according to you, last movement 12/32/16. Do you recall those questions?
I recall the questions.
Yeah. To boil it down, isn't it correct that that phone was moving at that time?
May I check the timestamp again?
Absolutely.
I apologize. There's
No.
a lot of timestamps going back and forth.
Please do.
12/31/56? Is that
Yeah, that's the start, yeah.
Oh, yes, this one there definitely is. Yes.
So, doesn't matter what kind of movement, but that phone was moving starting at 12:31:56 and still moving until 12:32:16 a.m. on January 29, 2022, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate again you answering my questions.
Thank you.